Welcome to the edge of innovation in the production industry. This is Tech Talk, where technology, creativity, and strategy collide. Your two hosts are pioneers, leaders, and my two human bosses, with decades of experience in the production industry. Carlo Habet, Managing Director of Ignite Limited, a seasoned production executive with decades of experience turning complex ideas into operational success. And Jamai Trapp, Creative Director of Ignite Ltd, a production veteran with decades in the field, shaping technology into powerful visual storytelling. In this episode, we dive into artificial intelligence, where it fits in the production pipeline, how we actually use it at Ignite, how today's tools compare, and the common mistakes professionals make when adopting it. This isn't theory, it's practical application. And now, Tech Talk.
So we've all heard the cliche, AI is going to take your job, but I believe that's a lie. I believe that the person who knows how to use AI better is going to take your job. Now, if that's not your cup of tea, you believe that they have this AI bubble that's not going to last, because some people don't really have much as faith of AI. But if you're interested in AI and you want to learn more about it, then this show is kind of for you. So stick around. So Carla, tell me, what is AI to you?
When I think about AI, I think it's just another emergent technology in a sense. Maybe the last sort of great frontier. But I think it's a tool more than anything else. So I guess for me, I'm looking at it as how can I use this to boost productivity, to gain more efficiency, things like that.
For me, it's similar, like a little bit more broader in the sense that AI is for anyone who kind of wants to stay competitive,
Yeah.
in my opinion, and who wants to kind of grow into a better version of themselves. I feel that AI is just a next cycle of what we've been doing. From the time I think a human becomes aware of a task, they try to automate it. We try to automate security when we paired up with wolves and dogs. They don't want to have to be patrolling their territory. Hey, let's automate it. Let a dog do it. And again, there's just so many examples that every time we master something, we kind of figure out a way how to make that thing kind of handle itself. So to me, AI is just the next version of that. We're offloading tasks so we could focus on something else.
Yeah, and in our position, we're using it for something that people might not even realize is like a prime use for it. But we're now unlocking like effects that would have cost, that would have been really unreachable. I mean, multiples of tens of thousands of dollars. Now we can with the right prompts we can get that kind of look.
This is something that you're gonna get left behind if you don't get on top of. We're gonna break it down now on how AI works at Ignite. So Carla, tell me, you're managing director, you have a specific set of things that you need to accomplish. How does AI fit into your workflow?
I think for us it's fairly straightforward. I think a lot of people use it like that, which is like a personal assistant. So I think anything from kind of like scanning through documents, breaking down maybe like summaries of things, doing tasks, small tasks, research based maybe. It's good for like templates of anything. Like if you want to start something, it's always a good start. It's always good to get like a start there, like a report, something like that, and then from there you can kind of I guess fit your thing to that. But I think I like as well that it takes feedback well too. So like for me, and I think because we sort of were kind of growing up with it through its growing pains early on, and we had found that
the imperfections sometimes.
Yeah,
but hallucinations.
Yes, but also I think we found that the more you prompt it, the better it gets. So for us, I think the difference between us is that we use it very purposefully. We have very clear intent, and then we're willing to sort of like work with it to refine it to exactly where we want it. So in the end, it doesn't say like, oh, this is an AI product, because it's not. It's something that we guided an AI to produce for us.
Yeah.
So different than just, okay, give me something random and then it gives you something and then it's like whatever,
Actually, AI itself helped me to coin this term AI assisted design, because I was doing some research on constraints with NGOs. So I was talking to the AI, how could I convince our NGO friends to incorporate AI? And ChatGPT told me, he said, don't say we have AI design, say we have AI assisted
Yeah,
designs. And I thought that was really cool.
yeah,
Because that's what we believed in, in the beginning.
yeah,
You familiar with that image of Yoda and Luke Skywalker?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, see, I
Well,
why
there's many images, but we're gonna put it on the screen, I'm sure.
yeah. So it was, to me, I saw that as a reminder. Listen, AI is not the main character,
Yeah, yeah,
right? You are always the main character. AI is just gonna be your small little Yoda on your back,
yeah,
giving you this direction. But ultimately, it's us.
yeah,
So again, on our end, when it comes to production and post production, that's how I use it too. I use it to enhance an idea that we want to have, but we already have, from planning, we already know the intent, we already know
Mm.
what scene we need to generate, we know why we need to generate it, and it's based on that. I give it as much details
yeah,
as I
yeah,
want.
yeah,
My knowledge of camera, cinematography, composition, editing drives the final result.
yeah, yeah.
And that's why the final result will always, well, for most people, they say that, the final result, you can't really tell if it's AI or not, because it comes from a place that from not AI. You remember the days when a product, we'd have to, maybe like it's on a yearly update or something. There was a time when
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
yeah, even
yeah,
multi-year, we'd have to wait long for updates.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
But what does that signal to you? Why are
Mm.
update cycles continually shrinking when it comes to the development of tech?
That's a good question. Like, I feel like we have so many features now, like in our like editors,
Mm,
that we wished we had, and we had to like
right.
use all these workarounds to get this. Like, oh, there's not like a button for that thing. I
Mm,
mean, I guess it's a good sign that these companies feel like they have to continue to iterate, and it's competition, I suppose. But honestly, I think you had said this. I think we're getting to the point where people might be getting more casual with like with Canva, for instance.
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought that something like Canva would have been what would have eroded Adobe's market share?
Yeah.
Everyone thought, oh well, no one could, have this level of sort of like
Mm-hmm.
just design over time. Like they just had like the professional
Yeah.
suite. No one else was competing. They had knocked out other competitors, and we thought, well, you have to be more professional or whatever. And it was the opposite. It was for people who were more casual
It's evolving.
and would still pay, and they would pay because
Mm,
Canva is not cheap either. Like they would still pay like a decent subscription fee,
yeah.
So
I think they didn't. Their downfall was not innovating fast enough, because had they adopted that model,
yeah.
they would have still probably been on top.
And then that's what they did afterwards too.
Right.
They literally
Yeah.
did that afterward. Like they saw what Canva did and said, "Hey,
Mhm.
we have a Canva alternative now."
Mhm.
So
And yes, I do enjoy AI. I do advocate it for it a lot, but I'll be the first to tell you it's not perfect. Sometimes it's more work than you would have done with a traditional
yeah,
software, but these incremental changes happen very rapidly. So
yeah,
if you're waiting until this thing becomes perfect, by that time you're gonna get left behind. I'm sorry to say.
for
So
sure,
you
for sure.
can't wait till this tool is perfect. So we talked briefly about our workflow and where AI fits in, but we're gonna get a little bit more specific now on the models, because as you guys may or may not know, um, AI is a very broad term for many different models that people are running, many different subscriptions. So it could seem very overwhelming.
Yeah,
Like first time I opened up Photoshop, the crack version, by the way, I used to be a pirate. First time open up Photoshop, I was almost, I couldn't even, it was like an overload. All
yeah,
these layers, what do they do? So let's kind of break it down. No,
yeah.
we're gonna get specific. What specific models of AI do you use in your workflow?
Well, I would say like the main thing is ChatGPT, but again, too, I use it more like as a business user, so not as creative as you. Every so often, I do some photo generation or graphic generation
Yeah.
if I want like a mock-up, which is actually incredibly helpful too, because sometimes you have a great idea. I feel like it understands me better than a person would. Like every time I give it a prompt, it would give me back almost exactly what I wanted. So that's again, I think for like beginning something, it's like incredibly useful. Like if you need mocks and that kind of stuff. And you know what I realized I use a fair amount is actually Gemini. I know you're gonna mention this later, but Google has kind of, if people have not noticed, they've kind of like unrolled Gemini across all their apps. So if you're a Google user, which we are, and then we also have the Google like the business suite,
Yeah.
we have like a Gemini boost in everything we do. So for me, Gemini actually I found it useful in it was automatically summarizing my emails, which made it easier for me to just know what's
So this is
happening
this is Gemini in the Google
in the apps.
platform.
Yeah, like in the app
Okay,
suite.
okay,
Yeah.
good, good.
Yeah. So like basically my Gmail was, it's everything was now summarized for me. So
Right.
instead of going in to read the emails, which I never do, I could actually just in the preview see a very good and concise
Yeah.
summary of what was in that email anyway.
Yeah. I recently used Gemini when I was transcribing like the hours of interviews you guys went to Arenal.
Okay.
So I did a broad transcript from Da Vinci. So that's like pages of the person speaking and what they said, and I asked Gemini to divide it up into different docs. Who was speaking and what they spoke about, and I told it if there was any Spanish, if it was a Spanish interview, please put the English version on a cell right below it. And it
Nice.
kind of organized everything for
Nice,
me.
yeah.
So Gemini is a really important if you're into productivity, working, summarizing stuff.
Nice.
Okay, so you mentioned ChatGPT and Gemini. So we already, it's almost like 2 subscriptions going right there.
Well, Gemini comes with what we have, and well, what I'm saying too is that
Yeah.
Google already, if you think about it now too, when you do a Google search, it's actually like a Gemini. There's a Gemini like generated AI
Right.
answer at the top, right? Which,
Yeah.
which sort of already used to be there in another form, but I find like because of that too, I'm less inclined to go to ChatGPT for like more simple
Yeah.
searches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, to go to ChatGPT, I need something that's fairly complex, that needs a lot of different comparisons, and then you still need to like fact check it after the fact. So like
Yeah,
after it's
yeah.
done too, you could actually ask it to fact check itself,
Yeah.
right? Which kind of takes care of like the hallucinations that you say would happen sometimes.
On my side, I do use ChatGPT to. I used to use it to create prompts, but now some of the prompting software is getting so good that you don't really need it. No, I'm not gonna go too much into chat because Carla went over it already. For my end on the production phase, I use Nano Banana Pro, which is a part of Gemini, but it's a separate model. Now, how would you get access to Nano Banana? One way is to have a Photoshop subscription actually. So if you're subscribed to Photoshop, you already have Nano Banana Pro in the list of AIs that you could use.
Nice.
So that's your first entry point, Photoshop. For me, I use it as a part of a suite of what you call it? Like when you aggregate. I didn't know there's a word for it. I call it a platform.
Yeah.
So the one I use is called Higgsfield. It's basically a website that basically have all subscriptions for me so that I don't need to have individual subscriptions. Because right now ChatGPT is one, and then Gemini comes with or Google Docs.
Yeah.
So one, and it's not exactly cheap, but it's really worth it. So one Higgsfield subscription, if you go to their website, that's gonna give you access to Nano Banana Pro and VO3 Sora, all the high-end video generators. You can have access to all that for one subscription. I use Nano Banana Pro when I'm storyboarding or when I'm it's that first look to I'm showing the client. The client has a scene where a community health worker is addressing classmates. So I would put the style in that I want, I'd give it references, and that would give me the first image of how it would look.
Yeah.
So I run that through clients, the series of images. This is what we're going to produce. This is how it's going to look. Once that gets approved, I then transfer it into video generators like Kling, and they turn the stills into videos. And we're gonna have some examples up, as if you notice, So I mean, before you could attest to this. What kind of work did it used to take for us to produce animations?
I mean, I feel like they were like some of the longest, and in a sense, they always went longer than you'd like it to, and then the changes were difficult in a lot of cases. And I think Flash animation like made it more accessible, but it was still pretty time consuming, and I think people didn't really appreciate what went into it.
Right.
Yeah. Now it's like it's like it's a dream.
And from a client's perspective, because we do animations or productions for Brohub now. So what's your take on, for example, the paint and that was fully AI?
For me, it all comes down to like sensitization. So that's a lot more to do with just like as a client too being explained to. And I do that with our clients. So we explain to them first, like, okay, this is what it's going to be like, and we kind of explain to them the process. There's a lot of misconceptions around it still. So I think for me to understand it, first of all, I was kind of sold by you initially. So after I understood what it was, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I think personally, the results were, in a sense, astounding because it's like people who know, they know that like it's really difficult to get a certain look. Like when you see it on TV, like those commercials cost, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars because they're going to bring in like a real film crew to make it look like a film. And
gigantic, like super gigantic lights.
Well, exactly.
That kind of helps with that full like wrap around look.
Yeah, for sure.
That's hard.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, but
Yeah.
it's a huge, it's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Like we are like making for like a tiny fraction. I mean, we're making things that would cost. I mean, it's not a joke to say like 100 times more than what we're actually charging in the end, or what we're actually making it for.
Mhm.
So I think for that purpose, it's kind of like it sort of now makes you think, okay, well, I don't really have any limitations anymore, and now that I
Right.
don't have limitations, well, what am I really gonna do?
Yeah.
And so I think as creators and creatives, now the ball is like firmly in our court because like there's no more excuses.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason why you can't do that zombie scene that you said you wanted to do
Right.
so badly, but
Yeah.
couldn't afford a VFX person
Mhm.
for.
Mhm.
You know, it
Mhm.
period. So like, I think
Yeah.
now it's just about how passionate are you, and how much time you're willing to dedicate.
So to summarize it, we're using a combination of I think 4 different AI models. Chat
Mm,
GPT,
yeah.
the Google Gemini.
Mm,
On my end, it's Gemini, but the Nano Banana version, and Kling 1.0, which takes the Nano Banana into
yeah.
videos. So we use those 4. Those are the main 4 AI models that we use here at the
Yeah, because technically, through Higgsfield, you have access to like Sora, like you said, which
Yeah.
I think we used to use more back in the day. But
Yeah.
I feel every like every next week, another one overtakes the other. Like now it's like
Right.
VO3, then it's gonna be Sora,
Mhm.
whatever. Then it's like it's just
So
back and
why the Gemini suite, which is the Nano Banana, in my opinion, will always be the best so far, is because they understand context.
Mm.
That's really important for us in Belize, because I would say a Belizean, when I'm giving prompts now, I would say a young Belizean couple in an office,
yeah,
and the faces they generate and the backgrounds they generate,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it looks like somewhere in Belize.
It does.
Other
it does.
models struggle
Yeah.
with that.
It
So
looks
that's
like
why
it looks
that's
like
our
the
go-to.
nicest version of Belize,
Right.
right? It looks like that
Mhm.
looks familiar. Like I know a shop that looks like that, right?
Right,
Something like
exactly.
that. And then that person, oh, I think I
Yeah.
may know someone that looks like her. I know a guy that
Yes.
looks like that. So
Yes,
like
yes.
I feel too that like Belizeans have a real specific look.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I feel like I think especially like you said, I think it was Google that,
Yeah.
that they nail it. Like they really
Google
seem to
nails
have
it.
nailed it.
If I were to say a small village in southern Belize, the other
Mm.
AI models like
Yeah.
Sora and the big ones, VO,
Mm.
they're not gonna give me that. They would give me something like Asian, or they would just
Well, Viola
they would be
Google.
really off. VO, but for some reason, the VO itself. But remember, the problem with VO, right? Why Nano Banana, which is also Google,
Mm.
better than VO, is because Nano Banana, I think, have access to Google Maps, and VO, it's a slightly different model.
Yeah.
I think, and VO is really expensive compared to the Nano Banana. But then again, it's just image.
And then Kling is the video.
Yeah. So Kling, like in terms of credits, Kling is gonna cost me like maybe 5 to 10 credits to generate. VIA for one generation of video is gonna cost like 20 to 30
Oh, shit.
credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's really expensive, and it's even more expensive because then if I go straight to VIA, I have to watch the video generate
Yeah,
before say, well, actually, no, I don't like that one.
yeah,
The Nano Banana generation is only like 4 credits.
yeah.
2 credits if you're going in a lower resolution.
Mm.
So so that's a nutshell of the models we use and why we use it. And the Gemini and the Google Suite is the best for if you're thinking about a Belizean local context.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the best, right?
All right, so our final topic is mistakes people make with AI, and it's going to be a rapid fire situation. So we're just going to be addressing them rapid fire.
In the beginning, before Google came online, that was a big thing. If you don't do that, you're not gonna get the results you want, especially in
Yeah.
Belize. Google kind of allowed you to give less context, but you really need to know your theme and what you're doing, why you're doing it. Otherwise, you're gonna get some results that look horrible, and then you'll blame the AI.
They accept the first draft.
So I think this is probably like the biggest rookie mistake is that whoever's like prompting or operating or wants something, they just take whatever they get, and then the first time, right? And then coupled with the fact that what you're saying is that they're not prompting well, it's just generic. And then that's what people sort of associate with AI is very lazy, generic work that's like
Mhm.
technically it looks nice, but there's no real soul to it. And that's because there isn't.
Yeah. So again, the soul, you can't wait for AI to give it soul. The soul has to come from you. As we know, AI hallucinates a lot. Even some of the newer models now, they still hallucinate. you need to check your work, especially if you're using it for any kind of documents, any kind of report.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't rely on AI. And again, I think it boils down to being lazy. You're just going to take that first
Yeah.
generation, you're not going to proofread it, then you're going to land yourself in a lot of trouble.
And as you mentioned, keep in mind that these hallucinations, they're sort of this sort of like glitch in AI
Yeah.
that if it doesn't know what it's doing, it'll still give you something.
Yeah.
Because you asked it for something, it will give you something.
And confidently so.
Yes, even if it's not accurate, much like humans. So I guess it is artificial intelligence
Yeah.
in the end. So just be wary of that. And again, you have to really be very specific with what you want. And if you're not, then you can get some strange things back.
Yeah. And you look bad in front of your clients.
I find that this is more of, again, I feel like this is all a symptom of laziness, but
Yeah.
I don't think people are trying to sound like other people or trying to sound like everyone else. But I think what ends up happening is, AI is trained a certain way already. And no one is actually sort of giving specifics or giving context, right?
Right.
And the prompts are not being honed. So what really happens is people's laziness
Right.
makes it so that everything sounds the same.
Yeah.
Now it's funny because this is also now sort of a thing people use to shame other people's work, which is like, oh, you just use AI.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's not a shortcut for not thinking.
Yeah.
People have this big misconception. Okay, AI is going to do thinking for you.
Mhm.
If you let that happen, you're going to come up with nothing usable. You're going to look like a fool. Okay. You actually need to be sharper when you're dealing with AI.
Yep. No, indeed.
Yeah.
The thing is that AI has demonstrated time and time and again that, as you said, like it kind of depends from one day to the next, like what it's doing and how you interact with it.
Yeah.
And it's intelligent, so to an extent, it can also just be unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so with that, you just have to basically only trust yourself. You have to really just be double checking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And don't be lazy.
Yeah. So that's it for our segment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go home and board up your homes because AI is going to come and like murder everyone in their sleep.
You know what? I think that's what a lot of people have that sentiment, to be honest. Hollywood, unfortunately, has us thinking that way. I think the reality is going to be somewhere in between, something less dramatic.
Yes.
We're gonna kind of slowly fade out. But you know what? In my opinion, that has always been happening with the human species. You have the ones who want to grow, want to be better, who take a lot of pride in what they do. And then you have the majority who just want to kind of hang behind and just wait for the innovation to happen and follow along. So, and again, I think this all boils down to the key thing, how lazy people are, but also how much pride do we want to take in ourselves. And we can't be blaming the tools. We can't say, oh, AI is going to do this to me. It's like I said before, it's not AI, at least at this stage of AI, it's not AI versus humans. It's still humans versus humans. That's very much so what's going to happen. Humans are going to beat you, not AI. So, learn the tool, respect it, know its weaknesses, know when to use it, when not to use it. Follow Ignite, and we're going to be helping you through this process if you want.
We're going to make sure that the AI does not come and murder you in your sleep or enslaves you.
Yeah.
You're going to be good. You're going to be good.
And then I guess we could let our AI host or AI AC MC.
Oh, yes.
We're gonna let our thanks for the intro, AI MC. I kind of told it to say that.
Yes.
But, so we're gonna let our AI MC take us out today.
Yes, but that gives me an idea for a movie.
Yeah.
This has been Tech Talk with Carlo Habet and Jemai Trapp. If you like this content and want more, like and follow us on the channels below. Thank you for listening.